Now students, we are going to study first cholinergic drug, that is acetylcholine. So acetylcholine is basically a quaternary ammonium. This is the drug which can't penetrate the membranes. This is the drug which cannot penetrate the cell membrane due to its structure, due to its molecular weight. So this is the neurotransmitter of parasympathetic system, somatic nerves, and the autonomic ganglia. We have already discussed that all the preganglionic nerves, either of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, basically releases the acetylcholine on the ganglia. So these acetylcholine is actually the neurotransmitter of the autonomic ganglia plus the post-ganglionic fibers of the parasympathetic system, and the somatic nerves release the acetylcholine. So this is neurotransmitter for the three major regions. First one of the parasympathetic, second one of the somatic nerves. Thirdly, this is the neurotransmitter at the autonomic ganglia. So this acetylcholine basically have the diffused action. It lacks the therapeutic importance because of this diffused action, and it is rapidly inactivated by an enzyme, and name of that enzyme is choline esterase or acetylcholine esterase. So this acetylcholine no doubt have activity both at the muscarinic and the nicotinic receptors. Now, what are the effects of this acetylcholine in heart? Basically, this drug decreases in heart rate and causes the decrease in cardiac output. This acetylcholine actually mimics the effect of the vagal stimulation. Now, what happens in normal vagal activity? In normal vagal activity, there is release of acetylcholine in SNO. So, this externally administered acetylcholine basically mimics the effect of the vagal stimulation, or this causes the release of acetylcholine into the SNO. So, as a result, there will be decrease in the cardiac rate, that will be negative chronotropy. There will be decrease in the cardiac output as well. Now, these acetylcholines also causes vasodilation, that is lowering of the blood pressure by indirect mechanism. Now, what is this indirect mechanism? I will discuss in this lecture. Firstly, now, what is this indirect mechanism? As we know that this acetylcholine has ability to activate the M3 receptors, and these M3 receptors are present on the blood vessels or the smooth cells. If this acetylcholine receptor, that is M3 receptors, are associated with GQ proteins, and we know that activation of GQ proteins causes the increase in the intracellular level of calcium. Instead of this increase in the calcium level of the cell, why this M3 receptor activation causes the vasodilatory effect? Why it doesn't causes the constriction of the vessels? It is thought that it must cause the constriction of the vessels, but this acetylcholine at M3 receptor is not doing this. Why? Because always activation of M3 receptors, which are present on the endothelial lining of the smooth muscles of the blood vessels, also results in production of nitric oxide from an amino acid, that is arginine. Now, this formed nitric oxide has ability to diffuse into the vascular smooth muscles. When into the vascular smooth muscle, this nitric oxide will stimulate protein kinase G. Now, whenever there is stimulation of protein kinase G production, this protein kinase G will cause the hyperpolarization. Additionally, it will cause the relaxation of the smooth muscles by phosphodiesterase 3 inhibition. So, additionally, what is happening? This nitric oxide is actually increasing the level of cyclic AMP within the cell. As a result, there will be dephosphorylation of the myosin light chain. Due to this dephosphorylation of the myosin light chain, there will be relaxation of the vascular smooth muscles. So, in the absence of the acetylcholine, there is no profound effect of the acetylcholine in the body except for the normal hemostasis, except for the normal physiology. We have another drug, that is atropine, which is a muscarinic receptor blocker. It has ability to oppose the effects of the acetylcholine. It opposes the acetylcholine from producing its effect on different effector organs. Now, what are the other effects of the acetylcholine? It increases the salivary secretions. It increases the intestinal secretions. It increases the motility of the intestine. It increases the or it enhances the bronchial secretions. It has ability to cause urination by increasing the tone or the contraction of the detrusor muscles which are present on the uterus. Now, what are the effects of acetylcholine on the eye? It basically causes meiosis by contraction of the ciliary muscles, by contraction of the sphincter muscles. So constriction of the pupil is actually the meiosis, while the dilation of the pupil is the mydriasis. So acetylcholine is associated with meiosis, that is constriction of the pupil. So 1% acetylcholine solution is installed to the interior chamber of the eye to produce meiosis during the surgeries. Now, other drug which is associated with acetylcholine is bethanechol. Just there is a minor difference between the structures between an additional methyl group on the bethanechol as compared to acetylcholine. Bethanechol is an unsubstituted carboxyl ester that is structurally related to acetylcholine. So this was all about the features of acetylcholine, all about the actions of acetylcholine, and all about the action of acetylcholine, particularly on the vascular smooth muscles.